Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz. Joining me from Sacramento, Impossible Chairs, Aaron Schroeder.
Good to see you guys. Yeah, I'm transitioning into my alter ego, Impossible Chairs. It was Possible Chairs for a while, but happy Easter, guys. Dylan, do they celebrate Easter like they do here in America and New Zealand?
I mean, how do you celebrate Easter? Just by you can't go buy stuff, like shops are closed.
Whoa.
The
We live in a
shops are
And you
capitalist
eat
country.
chocolate.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
capitalism
chocolate.
here. Shops stay open.
Oh,
I
real?
figured. Yeah.
You guys don't shut down for holidays?
I'm trying to think of what I think maybe early on New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. You think they're closing the chance to make sweet profits here? Holidays
that's
is when you
crazy.
want the store open.
But isn't the point that you give the workers a day off to celebrate this holy day? You guys still have to fucking go to work.
I think everyone's at work right now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, everyone who had work on Sundays is working still today. I would say so.
I think we get Friday and Sunday public holidays.
Huh.
And then we've got a law in our country as well that if a holiday falls on a Sunday, it gets observed on the Monday, so you get the Monday off. So we get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
How nice is that?
The way Jesus would have wanted.
Yeah, that was
And also
somewhere.
And also it's 420, so
Mm,
another public holiday.
that's
Happy
right.
high holidays to those who celebrate. We got Easter and the high holidays in the same time. And Jesus only got 3 days off, so I don't know what this is, getting Friday through Monday off. Come on, guys. Get back to work.
You tell me you get the same amount of time off as Jesus Christ?
They get one more day than Jesus.
It's a one-up him.
God. Gentlemen, we've had 6 playoff games in the book. It looks at the time of this recording. We are recording this after the Boston Celtics have just taken care of the Orlando Magic and before the tip of Heat Cavs. Or Dylan, I know, is dual screening, so I'm sure he'll keep us in the loop as to what's going on. I wanted to begin with the 2 teams that we're going to be seeing play on Monday. So if you're listening to this pod on Monday, hey, you get your teams up front. If you listen on Tuesday, maybe skip the next 20 minutes while we discuss Pistons, Knicks, and Clippers, Nuggets. Gentlemen, do you have a preference of which you want to begin with?
Which one happened first chronologically? I think Nuggets. I think Clippers Nuggets happened.
Yes.
First in the day. Let's start there.
All right.
Plus it's Dylan's team.
At fucking 7:30 a.m. on a Saturday, I had to get up for that shit.
I take it was not a rowdy Friday night for you then?
No, thankfully not.
Well, give us what you got. How'd you feel about your Clippers? Pushing things to overtime?
Yeah, I mean, it was a interesting game because the Clippers seemed to have all the answers early on and then let it fade in a very Clippers-esque way. Going back to the classic 3-1 series blown lead, almost reminiscent of that as Jokic finally started to figure out the defense. I actually thought that the Clippers' defensive scheme against him in particular was good, and then they went to Kawhi and Jamal Murray to close. So that was solid. But then it was Russell Westbrook, the hero, the redeemer.
It really was.
You
go ahead, Nick.
All right, I'm just going to say the Clippers really gave Westbrook kind of whatever he wanted, which I think is a very bad strategy when it's in the paint. Jokic found him in the paint for a couple of easy lay-ins or dunks in the fourth and overtime. But when he got those open threes, I think as the Clippers, you're perfectly fine with that. I know he knocked him down this game, him in the fourth and overtime, but I'm going to live with that. I'm going to take my chances that historically one of the worst high-volume three-point shooters or worst guys who attempt, I forget if it's 3 or more threes a game in NBA history. It's him and Charles Barkley are the worst percentage guys that have done that. I'll take my chances that doesn't happen again. I thought this was a fantastic game for the Clippers.
Thought it was too. I honestly think you leave that game disappointed because you lost.
Mhm.
And you lost in overtime. Like, man, like I really want that one. And I think you're gonna think about how you could have grabbed that game. But in a 7-game series, to go in Denver and have them play their basically core 5 the entire game. Murray got to 48 minutes and Jokic had 46. Gordon also had 46. And they got the 50-50 good Russell Westbrook game. I thought Denver basically played their entire hand. They got pulled as thin as they possibly could. Now Porter Jr. was like historically bad, and you'd hope he can find some production. But the Nuggets really have 6 players, and they are going to have to win this series and then try to win other playoff rounds, like with with 6 playable pieces.
Yeah,
I
and
thought-
Michael Porter, you go.
I thought Peyton Watson looked fine in his minutes. I know they got demolished in his minutes, and so there was a kind of a quicker leash of him getting pulled. But I would have kind of liked to have seen Adelman go back to him a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like Jokic affords you certain ability to play offensively challenged players. I think in a playoff series, and especially against a really good defensive team like the Clippers, you just can't really afford to play too many offensive zeros. I mean, like they're probably going to have to. Like you can't just play 6 guys every game. And as you said, Michael Porter Jr. was so bad that Edelman went for Russell Westbrook instead to close. Like Russell Westbrook was the guy that they put in the corner instead of Michael Porter Jr. That should have been MPJ's great shot to win the game. But instead they inexplicably went to Russ, and it worked out. But yeah, like they probably do need to go to some of these guys because can you just play 40 minutes for your guys every single game and what's feeling like it's going to be a really close series?
I looked back at their championship run in 2023. Jokic and Murray averaged 38 minutes a night in round 1 and 2, and then up into 40, 41 for the conference finals and the finals. It's like you can ramp up into like really heavy minutes, but you can't play 45 minutes a night in round 1. Like you're gonna burn out. You're just gonna burn out so quickly. I did see the Jokic quote about Porter Jr. being locked in, basically saying like, if you're not locked in now, I can't fucking help you. So I am curious to see how that changes in game 2.
For the Clippers, Bojan Bogdanovic going over 3 from 3 hurt. Because when things got going down the stretch, I felt like Denver kind of did the same thing that the Clippers were doing, where the Clippers were saying, hey, we're going to let Russ beat us. Denver was saying, hey, we're going to let Chris Dunn beat us. If Bogdanovic is hitting, that's an option. Or another option might be just go with Batum more. I know it's a little bit bigger, but if Kawhi is going to chase around Murray, having Batum out there and going Batum, Powell, Harden, Zubac, and Kawhi might work a little bit better to just get more shooting, more spacing on the floor.
Yeah, they actually went on a run late when they went with that unit of the starters with Batum. He's a really great connective piece in that he makes quick decisions. He's got the really quick release on the 3-pointer and is also a solid defender. And so maybe that is a better option for them to go to. He is quite old, though. Like he doesn't really play big minutes. And so maybe that's the issue. But I mean, I think they may need to go big, because I think that what killed the Clippers in the end is that they couldn't finish stops with defensive rebounds. That was the way that the Nuggets were able to really fuel their run and win in overtime, is because Zubac is on Jokic and he's further out on the floor, and then you've got James Harden guarding Aaron Gordon. Now you're really small on the back line, and he wasn't able to box out, and Chris Dunn wasn't able to box out. You had Kawhi also out on Jamal Murray, so there's your next biggest guy. And so I think that you do need to get more size out there to take away those offensive rebounds that like really killed them. Like that was really the thing that swung it for Denver. And like that maybe that means that Zubac, even though I think he did a really good job on Jokic, that maybe Zubac has to be the one guarding Aaron Gordon so that you can, get the stop, even if that means Jokic is going to hit more fadeaway jumpers over Kawhi or Nick Batum. Denver's getting every offensive rebound late anyway, and so you're not getting the stop regardless.
So what are you guys expecting for game 2? Are the Clippers going to be able to even things up, or will Denver be able to take a 2-0 lead home?
I actually do think the Clippers are going to win. I had this thought because looking at the Clippers rotation, like they have a legitimately 9 guys that they can play. Like they did play, and I thought like got good minutes in production out of. Could you answer Russell Westbrook with Ben Simmons? Is that not like the perfect pairing in NBA history? And I think like Westbrook can hit open threes and did, but for Dylan's point regarding the offensive rebounding, like Ben Simmons is like 6'10". Like that is someone. I know it's just fucking crazy that I'm gonna make the case that Ben Simmons should close a playoff game, but there's like something. I feel like there's something there. He shot 73% from the line in this season. Very small sample size, but like it doesn't look as horrendous as it has in previous seasons. And maybe test run a couple minutes because Dylan's absolutely on point. Like the offensive rebounding just killed them. If they grab half of those, and they just straight up win that game in regulation.
I mean, I would just go for Derrick Jones Jr. at this point. I feel like he does the same thing that Ben Simmons does. Maybe not quite as good of a connector and passer, but he's going to chase around Murray just as well. But as close of a game as this was, I think I'm still taking Denver in game 2. I know their team is going to be exhausted from this, but kind of so are the Clippers. And like I know that they didn't play as many minutes, but I've got it pulled up here. Kawhi played 41 minutes. James Harden played 43. That's not nothing. And the idea that their bench is that much more, like, they kind of really only. I mean, Zubac got 39 minutes. Powell got 37. Dunn got 31. And then they basically played Batum and Derrick Jones Jr. Both Simmons and Bogdanovich got like short stints, but they played fewer minutes than Peyton Watson. So like it is kind of a 6-man team versus a 7-man team.
Nate, this is blasphemy. This is a ridiculous take. No, I'm sorry. No,
the Clippers just don't have that much depth.
No, you're lying. You're lying to me on national television.
When did we get on national television?
The Clippers played Batum and Jones Jr. 24 minutes each, and Simmons got 13. Yeah. Bogdanovich got 12. The Nuggets played Peyton Watson 14 disaster minutes, and Pickett got 5. That's 6 people, and then the Clippers have 9 people. Don't round up and round down to pretend that it's actually 7. It's not. It's 6 versus 9. That is very clear cut.
So you're not counting Peyton Watson for Denver because he played 14 minutes, but you're going to count Simmons, who played 13, and Bogdanovich, who played 12.
They get destroyed every time Watson looks at the floor.
I'm just saying,
you can put him out there. He's going to get killed. Minutes. It's the same number of minutes, but you don't want that. You don't want these minutes. These are bad minutes to have. Where the Clippers have legitimate bench pieces. You're killing me. All those bench pieces would start in Denver, dude.
Ben Simmons is not starting anywhere outside of Washington.
Yeah, but they'd be really. It would. He
wasn't even starting in Brooklyn.
But I think the big thing is it's exponential. It is exponential how much the next guy helps you. If you have 7.5 guys, let's say it's actually 7.5. We're just making numbers out. 7.5 guys, like it takes that much pressure off your starters. And for the Nuggets to have only these 6 players, and Porter Jr. was a disaster. Then you end up playing Murray 48 minutes. Then you play Jokic 46 minutes. That's where the extra time comes in. It's just not sustainable.
I think if Denver gets a little bit better of an MPJ game, they're able to distribute minutes a little bit better. It's not quite as desperate.
Yeah, they just straight up pulled him.
I'm taking Denver game 2. What are you guys taking?
I'll go Clippers.
One of the most concerning things for the Clippers, you talk about how you really wanted this game, is that you got like a really, really good James Harden game, and you hate to waste those. But yeah, like I said as the initial reaction, I feel like like Aaron said, Denver have played all of their cards. The Clippers have, I think, a lot more buttons that they can push, a lot more things that they can try. So hopefully clean this up. I mean, home court advantage going against the best player. Maybe you still say Denver can get game 2, but I still think that I'm leaning Clippers in the series.
Do you want to know how many? Do you want to know what Kawhi Leonard's minutes high was this season prior to the Nuggets game?
37.
Dylan,
I have no idea.
you want to wager
Throw
a
some
guess?
Fucking balls, Dylan. Take a guess.
Given that Nate is making a big deal of it, I'm saying 35.
Actually, 47. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh, let's go.
he crossed the 40-point,
Yeah.
the 40-minute game. I was pulling this up because I was like, "There's no fucking
Hmm.
way that Kawhi has played more than 35 minutes in a game this year."
Yeah,
No,
Oh,
he crossed
what
the
was the
40-minute
double
mark
overtime
5
game
times.
recently?
Yeah.
Damn.
He has been healthy. This is. I'm
Yeah.
kind of excited. I hope the Clippers will win because I don't know if you'll ever get another Kawhi run. It's just I don't know if this is the new standard or you're gonna go back to like on again, off again injuries after this. You just hope you could see some more playoff Kawhi.
Yeah,
I
and we'll talk about him later in our next segment. But the fact that he was able to be still pretty effective while being guarded by, I think, the guy that in the entire NBA guards him the best, I think is a real credit to him. 9 of 15 for 22 points. Like maybe you want to see him get the ball more. He definitely deferred more to Harden because he really had it going. But 9 of 15 against the best guy to defend him is pretty tough.
As we're recording this, breaking news has just dropped. The NBA has announced the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year. They are Dyson Daniels, Draymond Green, and Evan Mobley.
That seems right.
Yeah.
That seems what I would have expected from the NBA media.
They have also dropped the finalists for Most Improved Players, which is Cade Cunningham, Dyson Daniels, and Avacha Zubac.
Kate's gonna win that award. That's so stupid.
I was listening to Simmons and Windhorst, and Windhorst just boldly said, "You cannot win Most Improved Player if you are already on a max contract. Like that should just be a rule. If you are on a max contract, the expectation is that you are good." Like
you know if you the NBA actually defines how you should give out these awards. Of course, the MVP is the most notorious one because it's like the most valuable player. It's like, okay, that doesn't fucking tell me anything. Like, how do we actually, what does that mean? But the definition of most improved player is like something to the, I'm paraphrasing, it's something to the effect of an award to acknowledge an up and coming player who has made a great increase in their play. And like Cade Cunningham is not an up and coming player. And so by that definition, actually it should be like, Dyson Daniels or fucking, the funniest case I heard was Kevin Porter Jr., who went from the worst player in the NBA on the Clippers to a rotation player on the Bucks.
Could be. I think last year I gave a vote to Jay Huff, basically going from like a top 600 guy to like a rotational piece. But that was part of what my Josh Hart argument came from, where he probably jumped like 100 spots. It's just massive improvement. Before we move on, I wanted to note from the Clippers, because you mentioned James Harden, it's game one Hart. James Harden cooks in these game ones. He finished with 32 points and 11 assists, but just clutch shots, stepping into threes. The floaters are always on point. It is frustrating though, because towards the end, those offensive rebounds, and he's doing the magnet arms. I used to yell when I coached basketball. I'd yell at the kids and tell them that you don't have magnets in your hands. Like you can't. You have to walk towards the ball. Like you have to jump towards the ball. You can't just like track it as it passes. And Harden's doing the magnet arms. But he's playing 40 minutes. He's exhausted. You have to be able to find a rotation, a lineup that helps cover those rebounding issues.
Yeah, and that's why I wonder whether they need to find someone else to guard Jokic that Zubac could be on Aaron Gordon, because Aaron Gordon I thought was like probably the player of the game for Denver. His just like straight up attacking James Harden and grabbing every rebound because Harden couldn't box him out, I think was the real difference maker for Denver.
To speak a little bit to Aaron's point here, James Harden's last several little playoff series, last year against Dallas, game one, 28 points on 65% effective field goal percentage, Game 6, the game they lose and are eliminated, 16 points on 31% effective field goal percentage. The year before that, Game 1 against Boston, 45 points on 68% effective field goal percentage. Game 6, 9 points on 32% effective field goal percentage. And we can keep kind of going back on series where he gets eliminated. Now, series where they don't get eliminated, the Game 6 numbers are good. It's just when he gets eliminated, the Game 6 numbers are bad. So
It's almost like there's a correlation between playing bad
wait
and
a
losing.
yeah, there's
Wait
a
a
cause and
second.
effect.
And so all they need to do is win the game, and then he'll play well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Holy shit, they figured it out. We have to talk a little bit more about Westbrook before we move on.
Do
I just feel like
we?
this was the most exciting game of all of these. Like there was the overtime game.
Yes.
You got a good
Yes.
James Harden performance. You got Russell Westbrook. Like Westbrook shot poorly, hitting the big three. Like Denver put him in this closing lineup, and I thought he played well. And like going for the steal in that inbounds pass and getting it. I texted Nate, and he had a great point where he just said that was probably really stupid. That was just a dumb thing to try. You're gonna get burned. You're gonna foul him, but it worked out. And Westbrook's just like his motor is always 100%, and James Harden's is always kind of like managing his energy, and it got him right there where Harden was kind of waiting for the ball to come to him, and Westbrook went to the ball. I just thought that was an awesome hustle play. Really, just kind of embody Westbrook has been for Denver.
And it didn't end up mattering because the Clippers didn't get the shot off. But at the end of the game, with shot clock turned off, up one or whatever it was, Westbrook took another freaking layup. Like I think they got the offensive rebound, but he once again took and missed an unnecessary layup, and so like you almost got the full Westbrook experience again.
It's volatile. It's a scary thing.
Well, once again, Adelman has never lost, and trusting Westbrook is justice for Michael Malone. So, suck it, Calvin Booth. Have fun, whoever's just about to hire him. Kings didn't hire him.
No, we got Scott Perry.
All right, we got to move on though. Pistons Knicks, the only game of the playoffs thus far that I've not watched any of, thanks to local TV blackouts. I did figure out a way around that though, so probably gonna watch that after this. Gentlemen, what did you feel after the Pistons Knicks game?
Dylan, I'll let you go.
Once again, this is like one of those games where I actually feel better about the team that lost than about the team that won. I didn't think that Tyrese Halliburton had too great of a game.
What game are we talking about?
Pistons Knicks?
Pistons Knicks.
Sorry, Jalen Brunson.
Makes sense.
Get them mixed up. 2 top 10 point guards.
Same relative guy.
Yeah. I didn't think that Jalen Brunson had too great of a game. And Tobias Harris, the man who single-handedly will contribute 30 wins to whichever team he's on, which is statistically verified. I thought that he did even though I think Towns shot like a ridiculous field goal percentage, Tobias Harris did a good job of taking away his three-pointer, which really hurts the Knicks because Josh Hart is not going to shoot them. He was guarded by the center for most of the game. And then they did a good job on Brunson between Schroeder and Thompson, despite him fouling all the time. And so, like Beef Stew, I think is playing hurt, and so he may not potentially play game 2. I thought that he was really good for them, but yeah, like this is one of those weird times where you come away sort of feeling bitter about the loser. The one thing that the Knicks I think really have is that OG is like the perfect defender, like we said, for Cade, who didn't have a great game. But the Pistons I think have the deeper team. They're going to play harder, and they have some decent matchup advantages, which I think matters.
I agree with Dylan. I think I walked away thinking the Pistons looked really comfortable, and they looked like they were ready for playoff basketball. And then they started. I mean, they kept pace with them, but what do the Knicks have? 5 of the top 6 players in this series, essentially. And when it came down to it, and it was nut crunch time, they just punched him in the mouth. 21-0 run in that fourth quarter. And I think the Pistons, you see a young team, they think like, all right, this is as hard as playoff basketball goes. And there's actually a level above that. And here it is. And you just lost by 20. The Isaiah Stewart thing is pretty devastating because Jalen Duren sucks. I just don't think he's very good. I don't think he's very good. And then of course OG was really just devastating defensively, like you mentioned as well.
So from what I'm hearing from you guys, the Knicks have a level above the Pistons. The Knicks have the perfect guy to make Cade's life hell, and yet you feel better about the Pistons than you do about the Knicks.
Well, I thought they'd get demolished. I had Knicks in 5 in this series, and for them to be like there was a point where I was like, they might win this game, and to see that and to have that lead in the fourth quarter. When do you guys know last time the Pistons won a playoff game?
I know they have the longest playoff losing streak of any team.
Yeah, give me a year.
Ooh, they got swept with Blake Griffin. I don't think they've been back since. So I'm gonna not 2010, like 2009,
2008. They win in 2009 and got swept. So 2008, they made the conference finals, I believe, that year, and they won a playoff game. Maybe we could break that. The Pistons could win a playoff game. That's exciting.
I think that's definitely a potential. My wife was actually looking at getting me Pistons tickets for my birthday, and she did not quite understand how much playoff tickets like jumped, or the like, hey, if she buys tickets to an undisclosed future game 1, that may never happen. So it was very, very sweet, very kind gesture. But which she started asking me about, I was like, this probably is not worth us doing.
Yeah, I'm looking at spending $800 on a game that will never happen. Is that a good gift?
Yeah. Very, very kind, very sweet.
Absolutely.
I guess what I'll say from looking at the box score, I want you guys to keep me honest on this, is your doubt with the Knicks partly coming from their bench? I mean, they received a great game from Cam Payne. I remember hearing Cam Payne celebrations. My buddy Jess, he texted me, "Fuck Cam Payne." Is that where some of your doubt is coming from?
I have no doubt. There's no doubts. The Knicks they're gonna roll the Pistons in this series. I was just happy. I was pleasantly surprised that the Pistons played as well as they did. I think like just the timely threes, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway, the role players kept him in the game. And I think in a very bad Cade Cunningham game, to get 20 from Beasley, to get 25 from Tobias Harris, like it shows that the Pistons' depth and just the way they run things isn't going to crumble in this playoff matchup.
I think the Pistons win this game if they can just like hold on to the fucking ball. Like they had so many live ball turnovers, which I think killed them. Like the percentage battle. Let me bring it up. The Knicks attempted 93 field goals, while the Pistons only attempted 86. And the although the Pistons' hot 3-point shooting is also concerning. It's like, yes, like that's what these players do, but the history of the NBA is that like your Malik Beasleys and Tim Hardways are not going to go out and shoot 47% in playoff series. And so I do still give the Pistons a chance. I think it's going to be a longer series than this deficit may suggest. And if the Pistons can drag it out, I almost feel like they are more suited to a war of attrition because they have a few more guys that they can play. Like the Knicks have 5 guys and that's it.
No love for Mitchell Robertson?
Yeah, they got 5.5 guys.
Good. They look good. It is funny, like with the Nuggets, where like they only have 6 guys. This is terrible. But like the Knicks have only had 5 guys the entire season. But this is just what they do. This is who they are. Like this, they are built for this. They're built for these, like for playoff minutes. They have been mentally prepping for playoff basketball the entire season. When it's Tuesday and they're going up against Philly, they're just like, this is a playoff series. Like
Josh
everyone's
Hart's
out
playing
there.
the whole second half.
Yeah.
All right. Well, which of the other less close games did you want to discuss first? A couple of notable beatdowns in
Yeah.
game one.
I think the big takeaway from a certain game is that the Lakers need to fire Rob Pelinka. I mean, everybody knows that defense wins championships, and he traded a great defensive player for an offensive only player. And that's the reason that the Lakers are never going to win a championship. Defense wins championships. Everybody knows it. What was this guy thinking?
When Anthony Edwards did the Spider-Man, I think that was that was either a hand sign I'm not familiar with, or it was Spider-Man at Luka Doncic. Time split in two pathways were formed. One where Luka Doncic mounts a comeback and the Lakers make the finals. The other where Anthony Edwards sweeps LeBron James. There are only two of these paths. One of them has to happen, and that when he did that hand thing at Luka, you chose your potential fate in a way.
That's the flipping of the coin.
Yeah.
That is
So one of those
Occam's
has
razor.
to happen. This game wasn't as close as the score suggested. Anthony Edwards.
The score did not
cramps.
suggest it was that close.
And it was worse than that. It was even worse than that. When Edwards went out with cramps and the Lakers went on a bit of a run, but as soon as he got back in, just like the beatdown continued, the Lakers could not defend in transition. The threes that they were generating were good looks. They shot uncharacteristically well, but they've shot well all season. But even then, very hot shooting night. But the looks they got were really good. They didn't defend the paint either. They didn't run in transition. It was a disaster. But I did mention this to Nate last night that the Lakers have been the win it rains it pours team all season. When it gets ahead of them, they tap out. All right, whatever. You guys, you got us. And then I guarantee game 2 is going to be really close. And they probably win that game because that's just how they've played. That's why they've always overachieved their net rating every single season. When it gets away from them, they back off and they win the close ones.
If they do not come back and win game 2, the Lakers need to be ready to hit full panic mode. Because the reason they lost game 1, there were many things that went wrong. But the primary thing that I noticed and watched, which was LeBron didn't get back on defense. LeBron would miss a shot and would complain. He got 3 blocks and 2 of them were the same possession. Like most of the game, he is not getting back, not playing defense. If he misses, it's 5-on-4 going the other way. Let me chirp at the ref. And when they went to LeBron at center, which, albeit maybe not the best idea to do, but when they did it, he was struggling to drive against Rudy Gobert, starting on the perimeter, which in all of my experience with LeBron, he has the speed to get past Gobert. Last night, he didn't. He was struggling to do that. And so I'm thinking if the Lakers don't win game 2, they're not winning this series. I think it's time for LeBron to hang it up. And if LeBron hangs it up as Luka's going into the offseason, waiting to sign his extension, this is a doomsday scenario where maybe Luka's looking around being like, you guys don't have that many picks. Maybe I'm not sticking around. Maybe I'm going to test free agency waters. And all hell breaks loose. So that is the stakes of game 2. Game 2 is 110% a make it or break it game where the Lakers universe could implode.
What an insane hot take. What a to go from I don't know what to say. To say that like game 2 decides whether LeBron retires and Luka just leaves. That the stakes are that high. I can't miss it. When is this game on? We should watch it together.
This is the 22nd. I think this is
the fate of the universe,
Tuesday
7
afternoon.
p.m. on Tuesday night. All right.
I mean, I'm just saying, if the Lakers get bounced in round 1 and LeBron looks completely mortal, completely weak, completely unathletic, like aged, like is that not the time to hang it up? And if you're Luka, whether or not he hangs it up, is that something you want to sign on to play with long term now that your team doesn't have these rights to give you a insanely large contract? They can still give them the larger contract because of the extra years, but like is one extra year going to make that big of a difference when you could get that money later anyways?
In regards to the Lakers being totally cooked if they can't win this year, I do think that Rob Pelinka gets Executive of the Year because he made the greatest trade of all time. But as I keep saying, like, other than that, he's a bad general manager and a bad team builder. If they had just a playable center, I think that would change everything. The problem with, I think the biggest problem for the Lakers defensively, even though they lost by getting torched from the perimeter, is if they could protect the rim, that would change everything for them. And they can't, because they have to go small. They have to play LeBron and Rui as their big men, and which gives you absolutely nothing on the interior. And like LeBron got outplayed by Rudy Gobert. If they just had a playable center to offer them some defense, I think this is a totally different game.
Derek Lively will be a Laker next season. I think that the LeBron retiring piece is possible. I know he's injured. The biggest sandbagger in NBA history is already planting the seeds about he's actually not 100% right now, and that's why he played poorly.
He's going to come out with a cast after they lose game 2.
But I think Luka is going to look at the Lakers and say, these guys wanted me, and I live in LA, and I'm going to play the rest of my career here. I just really can't see him transitioning somewhere else. The Lakers are going to attract stars. He knows that he's going to attract stars, and you're going to get $50 million in cap space if LeBron leaves. Either way, go ahead.
All right, LeBron for Giannis. Let's make it happen.
God, no. Question for you, Nate. In your extensive knowledge of NBA history, has a European superstar ever made a big free agency move? Off the top of my head, it seems like to me that European guys are more likely to just stay where they are, and if they do get moved, like Luka or like Gasol, it's in a trade. Can you think of any European superstars that have made a big free agency move?
I mean, no, but also
Not really.
the number of guys who have made big free agency moves are really pretty small. We're talking a handful of guys who have made these league-altering shifts. Like Shaq going from Orlando to LA is like probably one of the first that's a true free agency. Because like when Kareem goes, Kareem asks for a trade, and
how about including guys that ask for a trade? Like it seems to be all the it doesn't seem to be the MO of European players. They seem to be much more sort of one team focused.
I get that. I don't know how. I just don't think we've had a long enough sample size of truly elite star players from Europe, because like if we just go back to the mid 2000s, Peja Stojakovic, Dirk Nowitzki, like those were some of the top like European guys of that era. And Dirk is forever happy in Dallas. They made it his home. Peja gets bounced around a bit and it isn't quite of the star caliber enough to like really demand something. I don't think we've had enough European born talent to really say like, hey, they will or they won't. Because like, I mean, Luka and Giannis are on different tiers of basically every other European other than Dirk, who has come before them, and Jokic, of course. Like this is uncharted waters. Maybe he just goes back to Dallas.
Wouldn't that be the funniest outcome? They just fire Nico Harrison. He's just like, all right, sweet, I'll come back.
I do think there's going to be like
They hire Mark Cuban as their GM,
like a Garnett Timberwolves-esque relationship with Luka and Dallas, where like it's gonna be 20 years from now, Luka's retired and he's like never going back to that fucking city. I hope they all die. Like it's just a lifelong scorn for the city and the organization, not the city necessarily, but the organization, and just having problems with it. But yeah, I think Luka's going to be a Laker for the rest of his career. I can't imagine them moving him. I think he's going to want to stay. They'll be able to build around him. It's a lot easier to build around Luka than it is Luka and a 40-year-old LeBron James. And really, honestly, like when you traded for Luka, it wasn't a LeBron core anymore. Now this is a Luka Doncic team. And what can we do to make this a contender? And LeBron is a kind of a byproduct of what's going on at this point.
If I had to make a prediction for game 2, it is that the Lakers will win it. I do think things get a lot less desperate if this is at least a long series, if not a Lakers victory. Like if it goes 6 or 7 and hey, yeah, relying on Jackson Hayes wasn't the best thing. The Lakers need to figure out more bench. Gabe Vincent is like, now we kept harping on Denver only having 5 guys. Do the Lakers even have 5 guys? Is like,
let's see. Yeah, why did Gabe Vincent play 25 minutes and connect? Not at all. I didn't really understand that.
Vincent's been a little bit more reliable of a shooter and secondary playmaker.
And
quick-
defensive player,
quick
like
movement.
How many-
you're getting killed on
Yeah,
the perimeter. You
yeah,
don't want a
dude.
guy
How
that's
many
gonna like
fucking
get lost every
playmakers
time
do
there's
you
an
need?
off-ball screen.
How many playmakers do you need? Is LeBron
Well, I mean-
and Luka and Reeves not enough? We need a quertiary.
You want a
What's
guy-
the term for the fourth?
When
Well, you
you're
wanna-
scoring
you wa-
95 points in 2025, you obviously didn't have enough offensive creation.
Yeah,
you want a
that's
guy
true.
who's going to give the ball back to LeBron as opposed to shooting it, and that's the need for additional playmakers.
Yeah, it does
but-
feel like
but no,
Connect
I mean-
just kind of got pushed out of the rotation after the trade. But
Yeah, that's a hard thing to come back from mentally. Is like, hey, see ya later. Oh, you're back. But my other prediction for game 2 is the foul discrepancy. The Lakers did only have 10 in fouls. Wolves had 21, but free throw wise was 16-10. That's not happening again. The Lakers will have 25 plus free throws in game 2. There will be a significant free throw advantage in game 2.
Yeah.
when you don't
But
drive to
my-
the basket or defend the perimeter, there's not going to be a lot of calls. Sorry, Dylan.
Yeah, my argument against that is that there's still a top 5 defensive player in the league guarding the paint, and he is also a really particularly low foul player considering his content. Like Rudy Gobert is not a guy that is going to give up a lot of fouls, and he's the one that's contesting everything at the rim. Like maybe you can get some fouls on Naz Reid, or you could try to, I don't know, like who are you even like foul baiting? Like Jaden McDaniels, I guess can get a little bit over aggressive, but yeah, like the
Julius Randle.
Lakers, Julius Randle, I guess.
Nikhil
yeah, like the Lakers.
Walker brought a lot of energy and with that potential for fouls. Like I thought he played very good defensively.
Yeah,
was
I
2
agree.
for 9 from the floor, but like
Yeah,
his
I think it's still
defense
positive
was-
despite that.
exactly.
Yeah,
But I'm
but I do
just
think
saying
that
the Lakers are going to get more calls this next game. Whether or not they
but
should.
I mean, it's another I guess point in the direction that the Lakers regular season outperformed their team quality. They had that massive difference between their expected wins and their actual wins, and then they had the biggest free throw discrepancy in NBA history. And when you get to the playoffs, where historically those calls, the refs start to swallow the whistle a bit more, then you can't rely on that to make up a difference for you.
Mhm. I'm relying on it. But should we move to the last Western Conference series that we've seen played thus far?
The one that had a 50-point difference.
Yeah, just a Desmond Bain sized difference.
This could have been any of us, any of our teams. Had the season gone a little bit differently, we could have been in Memphis's spot right now, just getting mercy killed, smited. I think Memphis is a good team. The way the Thunder play, though, to have the top end player, like maybe the best player in the world, maybe the MVP, to go up against anybody, But then just having this insane defense, they defend the rim at such a high level. They swarm the perimeter. They run in transition. Like no team turns defense into offense like the Thunder do, maybe ever. They are just so good. They make
Yeah.
how else can I describe it? They're fucking amazing. They
I'll
destroy
I'll
teams. They
I'll, I'll
Anaconda squeeze them. Go ahead.
I'll give you a number that demonstrates their dominance. Probably the guy that's going to win MVP. 23 minutes, 4 of 13, and they win by 51 points.
And it's just insane.
Like
And
their
it's just
best player had
insane.
15 points in 23 minutes. They shot 30% from the field and they won by 50.
And they had a 4-minute gap where they did not score. In the second quarter, they went scoreless from the 4-minute and 15-second mark to the 16-second mark. Like you have a 4-minute gap without scoring and you still win by 51 points. Just that is a level of dominance where like you took 4 minutes of the game. That is not an insignificant chunk. That's 1/12 of the game off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the entire fourth quarter was off. Like the actual differential if they played all 4 quarters trying would be even more because they had a 19-17 fourth quarter once both teams stopped trying. Like this would have been a 70 point, a 60, 70 point differential if they had any reason to play the
I
fourth
feel
quarter.
like for our fathers, and like we are varying ages, but our fathers will tell us about the '86 Celtics and the '87 Lakers. Now they ran in transition, they killed us, and these historically great teams. We're gonna tell our children. Nate's gonna tell his son about the 2025 Thunder and just how they were so dominant. And I really feel
Yeah.
like this is that kind of team.
I do think, and this is a lot to put on one player, but I do think Memphis is desperately missing Jalen Wells. Wells's defense just one helps solidify the team in a way. Like I thought Scottie Pippen Jr. played really well in the play-in, but like that should be your first guy off the bench. There should be a shorter rotation. I sent in some of our friends group text being like, wait, Marvin Bagley is playing playoff minutes? And Marvin Bagley played fine. 8 for 8 from the
Fine.
field.
He was phenomenal. He was the best player on Memphis.
They lost by 51 points. I'm not giving anyone better than 5 when you lose by 51 points.
He was fantastic. The Thunder couldn't hold him.
But it just
garbage time killer Marvin Bagley. But yeah, no, that's a good point. It's like Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley should not play playoff minutes. John Conchar should not play playoff minutes. Zach Edey, like he was good this year, but like he's a rookie. He probably shouldn't be playing playoff minutes. I think that what is being exposed is that the Grizzlies, because they're so well coached, even though they fired their coach, they are like a team that just wins regular season games all the time. But like now they're really, when it comes down to how good is your talent, they're just at such a huge talent disadvantage.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this box score, losing my mind, guys. Like, thinking about the SGA MVP season, this team was injured. Like Caruso, Hardenstein, Holmgren, like the entire team. Look at their top 8 by total minutes played. It's not that great of a top 8, and yet they won 68 games, and now they're healthy, and now this team's healthy. Like Alex Caruso played 12 minutes, he was plus 30. Kayson Wallace played 13 minutes. That's insane. That they like Alex Caruso would play 40 minutes a night on other playoff teams. Same with Kayson Wallace, and they're like barely bench guys.
Yeah, Marvin Bagley outscored Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and the Thunder won by 50.
Do you want to know what contracts they have coming off the books this year? Which of these guys they'll have to either re-sign or trade?
Is it Caruso? Is he coming off?
Nope.
No.
It's none of the main guys, right? It's like Jalen Williams and
is it any of them?
Williams?
They have team options for AJ Mitchell and the big Jalen Williams. The only expiring contracts that are above minimums are Daniel Tice and Kevin Porter Jr. guys who are not on the franchise anymore, guys that they have waived and extended.
God.
This
Oh
entire
my god.
roster will be back and will be not a tax team. They're at 172 next year, which for some context, I think the Kings are going to be at 164 next year.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no, it's super
Like,
cool. Thanks, guys.
And
Sorry, I
they've
was
also
looking
got
at
a,
Kings free agent plans. And
Yeah.
you guys are
and then they've also got a guy who was projected to be a top 3 overall pick before he got hurt and took the year off.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
gonna add him into the fold as well. Like
my
they're gonna have a
God,
top
that's
3,
right.
they're gonna have a top 3 overall
Topic.
pick in
Nikola
Nikola Topic,
Jesus
who like
Christ.
won't
Oh
even have an
God.
obvious spot in the rotation.
Oh my
And
god.
He's just
so
gonna he's gonna
scary.
average he's just gonna average 55, 20, and 20 in the G League all year.
Yeah.
And with a little bit of lottery luck, they could add the number 7 pick if 2 teams can leapfrog Philly. They also have 2 other first round picks this year, which
Yeah, they get to take our pick. Oh no,
It's the
Houston's
Thunder
pick.
Dynasty. We are living in the Thunder Dynasty. They're gonna win it all this year, and they're gonna win it all next year. And yeah, no, that's all I have to say.
this is brutal. I think the NBA should have a mercy rule where if you win the first 3 games, just game 4 is canceled. Like, don't even play game 4. I remember
I
playing
think if
soccer.
you win, I have an idea. A couple things. If you win the first game by 50, the series is over. If you win 60 plus games in the regular season, you should get a bye. If you're gonna allow the 10 seed to make the playoffs, and I thought the Grizzlies aren't a 10 seed, but if you're gonna allow the 10 seed to make the playoffs, you should give historically great 1 seeds the round off. I'm not sure how that'd work round wise. If there's still, but we'll figure it out.
I really hate buys. Don't do buys.
Hmm.
I'm just it messes with like a ton of historical things. And like this team never won a playoff series, or this guy I
Yeah.
never won a playoff series. It's like, well, yeah, because he did really good in the regular season and got a bye, and then instead of getting to play like the 8 seed, they had to go up against the 4. And it was like a 50-win 4 seed or a 55. Like, no.
Yeah, it's the George
let the
Gervin
Thunder
story.
let the Thunder have this series and let them dominate.
All right, that's fine. That's all right.
I feel bad for Memphis, but this is not going to be a close series. They won't have 51 hung on them again, but 20, 30.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Memphis played about as good as they can. This is probably the top end result of this game.
Oh, that's a sad thing.
We have 1 more game left, don't we?
Oh, we've got 2. We have
2.
we have the beatdown that I
Oh.
think both of you guys predicted. And I am a foolish man.
Mhm.
I believed in a Doc Rivers, a Kyle Kuzma,
The
Milwaukee
99th
Bucks.
best player in the NBA.
You know, not going to say I was wrong, because my faith was solely in Giannis being superhuman. I do think Giannis was fantastic, but everyone around him just left me so sad. Like AJ Green had a brief moment where he was really hitting his threes, and then in the 4th, when that was like the time for the Bucks to make the run, when they kind of put the clamps on Indiana, it just fell apart. There's a missed 3 after missed 3 after missed 3. Gary Trent, I had such high hopes for you this season. Robin Lopez looked good in the first quarter, and that was about it for him in this game. And Nembhard was beasting on these boys.
Yeah, and he was one of our guys that coming into the season, I think we most maybe overrated. But he's kind of proven us right at this point. To your point on Giannis, like he did have a good scoring game and like everything had to run through him. But I think that he like wasn't good at all defensively. And you talk about LeBron doing every time he misses a layup, he just doesn't get back. Like Giannis didn't get back in transition a single time.
Mhm.
Indiana ran them out the gym. And then get this, Milwaukee had I believe it was 0 transition field goals. like they've got the greatest transition force, or like top 3 of all time in Giannis, and they had no transition field goals. Like he's got such a load, and like that'll get easier with Lillard back. I think he's supposed to be back in game 2. Just to, like, so that everything doesn't have to go through him, and maybe he can try harder defensively. But like he had a good scoring game, but I don't think he had that great a game overall. And then yeah, like we talk about Denver's got 5 guys, the Lakers, do they have 5 guys? Milwaukee's got like 1.5 guys. Like they can't put out a 5-man lineup that has like competent NBA players.
They were desperately searching, and at one point they went to like Giannis and 4 guards, and no, I think Portis was still out there, but he wasn't guarding a whatever it was. Obi Toppin like drove and just bodied through whatever small guard was on him, Green or Trent or Porter, and I was just like, is there no one else? Is it literally Giannis and like no one else? And that's totally what it was. I had to check my phone at one point to see if Kuzma was injured and if he was even in the game. And then I looked up at the screen and I noticed that he was in the game. And I was like, I swear, I don't think I've seen him do a thing. And of course, the box score then shows like he did absolutely nothing. But like, I legitimately was like, is Kuzma playing? Did I miss Kuzma an injury? No, he was playing. He just was absolutely nothing.
Yeah, an incredible 0-0-0-0-0 game for Kuzma. The only thing he put on the scoreboard were 2 fouls and a couple missed field goals.
I think the Kuzma trade is worse than the Luka trade. Would you rather just trade your best player straight up? Would you rather trade your best player straight up, or trade for a player so bad it made your star player leave?
I guess.
Right?
What is worse, Anthony for Luka or Chris Middleton and Giannis for Kyle Kuzma?
Exactly, because now Giannis is gonna. You're gonna have to trade Giannis. This whole thing. It's gonna be like a season and a half of him like kind of humming and hawing. What's the term? Humming and hawing for hemming and hawing. Hemming and hawing for whether he wants a trade or not. And it's going to be a wasted year and a dramatic trade, a messy end, all because he traded for Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, definitely could be. But you know what? I think he'll look great in purple and gold.
Yeah, it's tragic, but it's somehow inevitable. Like the deal that Dr. Bus made with our Lord and Savior, who doesn't even give you guys a day off on Easter. It's just incredible.
The ghost of James Naismith?
The
true basketball god?
Yeah. I mean, I think the deal must have been like he's made a deal with the devil. He's like in a dark room with like freaking like watching the late Kobe teams, like the freaking I can't even think of any of the guys that were on that team.
Like 2016.
Yeah, he's
Jordan Farmar.
Julius Randle.
Yeah, there we go. He's in a dark
Clarkson.
He's in a dark.
You're talking
room.
like the Jody Meeks era.
Yeah. He's in a dark room watching Robert Sacre post ups on loop for all of eternity to get this incredible blessing that the Lakers get everything to fall into their lap.
He's watching Lou Will, Kobe, and Jordan Clarkson play defense all at the same time. It is interesting. Like, how good would a Giannis Luka team be by the time they could orchestrate this? By the time they could gather enough assets to make a Giannis trade? Because the crazy thing about it is, like, I think about OKC having more assets than everybody. It is 100% disadvantageous for the Thunder to acquire Giannis. That is how good their situation is. because he would make them older and more expensive. And all of a sudden, you couldn't
Mhm.
pay the other guys. It's so much better just to sit on this 68 win team. And like the idea that there's a team out there that is so wealthy they will not get Giannis is just insane. But I guess it's a side tangent.
I mean, to trade for Giannis, the least impactful guys to add up to Giannis's 58 million, and that he's going to get next year, are Isaiah Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe, and either Lou Dort or Alex Caruso, plus the motherload of picks. I think you still do that. I think you still make that move. That's still still makes you better enough.
I think it makes you, I mean, you're a worse regular season team, but maybe your playoff upside is better. And look, maybe we'll still see that the Thunder aren't this all-time great playoff team as they come up against a team that's not playing Marvin Bagley. Maybe there is still a level of competition that the Thunder are going to run into.
So we do have one last game.
Might say they need that one more piece.
We do have one last game. That is the Magic versus the Celtics. Boston wins 103-86. And by the time I got back from Easter festivities, this was pretty much over. I got back in the third quarter and got to see a little bit of Paolo trying to make this happen. Looking at the box scores, does not look like he had much help. For Boston side, though, what really clicked? What were you guys seeing out there that really made this such a decisive victory? Because they were down at halftime, just a single point, but it was a close game.
Shooting and spacing, man. Shooting and spacing. I think both teams are fairly equal defensively. And the Celtics they create these turnovers, they run in transition, they just attack these weaknesses. It's a nightmare day for me. Paolo had a great game. He had 36 and his team scored 86. My Twitter mentions are going to be blown up. I need to start formulating a defense already, but Orlando's defense is good enough to hang in the game, and they did for a while. Banchero hit some good shots. It was one of his. It was certainly a good game. Franz was good in the first half as well. They can't generate offense. They're starting Corey Joseph. Like, it's just not a good enough roster at the moment. They're not going to be able to hit the threes to keep up with Boston, and this is probably as close as they're going to get. And I feel bad about that. I think Boston in 6, but I feel like I watched a good Orlando game and it still wasn't close, and that made me feel bad about the future outlook.
Orlando made 34 field goals in this game, and Boston made 37, and they lost by 17 points. There's a 3 field goal difference. When you're scoring in twos and you can't generate outside shots and you don't really get to the free throw line, like, it is really hard, especially against a great defense, to like put up points. And like, they scored 86 points.
Yeah. And I thought the Magic got I thought Caleb Houston was good in the 13 minutes he played, even though it doesn't look good. I thought he defended Tatum well, I guess, in that moment. But what is KCP's job on this basketball team? He played 35 minutes. He took 5 shots and 4 threes. He is one of 1.5 good 3-point shooters on this team. You just got to get him up there. You got to get him towards the rim. Like, I just feel like it's kind of a waste of possessions if he's not seeing, I don't know, at least 7. Can we get 7 threes up if we're doing that?
At this point, do you just like play Cole Anthony? Like, they went with Corey Joseph because he's a good defensive player, and like you know, in addition to being a great defensive team, Boston is also one of the best offensive teams in the league. So like, you don't want a defensive weak point to pick at. But when you're scoring 80 points and you can't get threes up, you just throw Cole Anthony in there to just like, at least he's going to get them up. Give you the variability that if they go in.
Corey Joseph is not a good enough defender that I'm like, we have to have Corey Joseph in here for defense. Like,
no.
Let's put Anthony Black in there if we're going to say, hey, we're going to go all out on defense, try to really muck this up, and we're going to win 86-83. Anthony is a better scoring punch. Or, hear me out on this. Big. You go bully ball. Jonathan Isaac. Say Paulo Franz. You guys are bringing it up.
I mean, if they had Mo Wagner, then then you could do that because like he's at least a good offensive player. But you can play Jonathan Isaac and just guard him with like Drew Holiday or like Derek White. Like Jonathan Isaac's not going to have anything for those guys.
1 for 1 from 3.
I genuinely though, Nate is onto something. Like if you're gonna say like if you're gonna cover a weakness with Corey Joseph, that's not helpful enough to justify not trying to some like bonker shit. Because I mean, I watched the game. Franz Wagner's bringing the ball up. Banchero's bringing the ball up. Like these are their offensive initiators, anyways. Corey Joseph was out there, 26 minutes, 0 points, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 0 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 fouls. I don't think that's worth it. I don't think that's a stat line we're going to try to hang on to. And so, yeah, I'd say Cole Anthony and Isaac, and you cut Joseph out of the lineup entirely.
I mean, look, their defense was fine. Boston only scored just over 100 points.
Yeah, it's been Orlando's.
That's too high. Like that's too many points.
That's yeah. I mean, their whole scheme is that you've got to have no defensive weak points at guard. Like that's what's made them work, and so they went with Corey Joseph to fill that role. And it worked. Like the defense was good, but
not good enough.
Yeah, like maybe
Bigger,
that just throws off
longer,
their entire system.
Stronger.
Yeah. All right, so we start Jonathan Isaac. We start Cole Anthony.
No,
those two cancel each other out, and those two cancel each other out offensively and defensively, and you end up in the same. You end up with 86 to 103.
This is the fifth or fourth. This is the tied for the third worst relative offensive rating in Magic history, tied with the 2014 Magic, who were 29th on offense.
Is that the Markelle Fultz team?
I think we're way too early. Yeah, Aaron Aflalo, Jameer Nelson, right. Vucevic, Victor Oladipo, Tobias Harris.
It was the
that's stages. It was Jameer.
Aaron Aflalo can anchor an offense just like Paolo Banchero can.
Listen,
I rest my case.
If there's one thing I've learned from studying NBA history, it's these players like Paolo or like Carmelo Anthony or like Allen Iverson, who are inefficient offensive engines in and of themselves. Don't even try. Don't try to make it an offense around them. Make it a defense around them. Put just insane defenders and say, hey, listen, Paolo's good enough at deep twos, at making the tough shots, and he's going to take them either way. You could have a fluid offense around him. And maybe this is writing off Paolo's career too soon, but put the defense, get the defense locked in, play your 5 best defenders, and say, hey, Paolo, hey, Franz, we believe in you enough to try to get us 75 points. We're going to try to hold the other team to 73.
Okay, Nate, that's what they're doing right now.
I was going to say, isn't that exactly what?
No, Corey Joseph played 26 minutes.
No, that was
because they're going defensive. They were the outside of OKC, who were like a historically great defense. They were the best defense in the NBA, and by like a decent margin. Like the gap between them and 3 is like the gap between like 3
is huge.
And whoever else. And then the offense is like 26th in the league.
Corey Joseph
like
is not
they're already doing your
defender.
scheme.
No.
Corey Joseph is a very good defender.
He's a fine defender. That's why he's 3 years ago he was a fine defender.
They need someone to dribble the basketball.
He's a 2014 champion, okay?
Yeah. 2014 was 11 years ago.
There have only been 2 Magic teams to have a better defensive rating than this one, 2009 and 2011.
If you were 10 in 2014, you could buy alcohol right now.
Yeah, buy
That's how long ago Corey Joseph was a champion.
I get what you're saying. I think the switch is not that dramatic. I think you're presenting it as if like this is some crazy idea when they are one rotational piece from doing it. And I think I agree. They should play Jonathan Isaac.
Is Jonathan Isaac for Corey
might
Joseph.
As well.
Start huge.
Is that it?
I did. Well, no, I wanted to ask you guys. It is all the games, but I wanted to ask you guys, which of the teams that lost by 15 or more will win the most games in the first round?
Ah.
So basically, who has the best chance of coming back and winning, or at least pushing their series to be the most competitive?
So the nominees are Memphis, Orlando, LA,
Los Angeles and
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Okay. The Knicks or the Pistons just escaped that fate. I mean, the answer is easily LA. I mean, how many times have we seen LeBron lose game one? I think they did it every round in 2020, and they end up winning that series in 5. And you feel it out. You're kind of banged up in game one. You put all the news stories out. You hit them hard in game 2. You win that series.
Yeah, I'll take LA too. I do think that the Bucks maybe have more of a chance than people think. Like, I think Damian Lillard is going to make a big difference for them offensively. They probably get worse defensively, which is brutal. And they're not going to be any better in transition defense, which is where they really got killed. But maybe, like I say, Giannis can play better defense when he's not the only guy that can do anything offensively.
And at least if you can't play better defense, at least gives you a chance in like a firefight, a shootout game where both teams put up 120. You get 40 from Giannis and 40 from Dame and 6 from Kuzma. And I don't know how the rest gets to 120, but the Milwaukee was also going to be my answer. I think the fact that they were on the road, it's game 1, makes a bit of a difference versus in LA, who that was a home game. They have now lost home court advantage. Milwaukee never had it. They still have their 3 home games. They just have to steal one of the ones on the road, which was what the goal always was. So I'm going with Milwaukee. Well, gentlemen,
Nice.
It's been an hour or plus.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we're good. Aaron, where can the people find you?
Possible Chairs on TikTok, Possible Chairs on Twitter, my Patreon, and this podcast, where next week we'll discuss Nate's ranking of Jaylen Brown over Chet Holmgren and Evan Mobley.
At long last, the much teased best playoff players.
We're gonna just nothing more exciting happens.
We're just gonna keep mentioning it until until it finally goes through. Once we get to the finals.
Yeah.
And there's only one series to talk about.
You can email us.
Miami Cleveland looking close. Nate, can you do creative editing to make me sound smart? I always knew that Miami was going to win this series. It's pretty obvious that Cleveland was going to win this series. There we go.
You can email the show, hoopstable@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for listening.